Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes' Illuminati, the man who rules the world, takes on the head of the global elite in this all-new action-packed John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' Illuminati in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. A Detroit man was shot and killed over the way he danced with a woman.
He laughed a lot and made other people laugh. He always helped people.
He was 53-year-old Sean Hayden, a grandfather with several kids. He was shot to death at his cousin's birthday party Tuesday night on Bishop near I-94 on Detroit's east side.
It hurts. It just hurts. You know, we got a large family. We miss them. And we just want to know, why did you do it?
The accused shooter distantly related through a marriage, and according to Sean's older brothers, Abram and Cedric, their family had never even met this guy before. Reportedly, the suspect didn't like how Sean was dancing with a woman.
Even if it is dancing with a girl, I mean, what do you say and do? For a reason for you to pull a gun out over a dance?
The suspect now in custody and awaiting charges, but the arrest wasn't easy. After the shooting, police say he fled Bishop Street. DPD tracked him to Leisure near Outer Drive on the west side, where police issued a barricaded situation that lasted hours. Turns out the suspect was actually checking himself into a hospital and caused a scene because he brought his gun.
Why go to a hospital? Why would you leave the scene of the crime?
Abram and Cedric are looking for answers and closure. They say Sean was unarmed and sitting down when he was shot. Not only that, they know Sean wasn't the type of guy to get into a fight.
He was on disability, so it wasn't too much that he can physically get involved in.
They hope charges will be swift and that justice will be served. Reporting in Detroit, Scott Walczak, Fox 2 News.
Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are struggling to find their way in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy of The Man Crisis in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Now, in this alleged incident that took place in Detroit, 53-year-old Sean Hayden was at a party for a family member when he went to dance with somebody at the party. And after he went to dance with this individual at the party, disabled 53-year-old Sean Hayden had a seat when this distant relative, who was upset about the way he was dancing with this woman, went up and approached him with a firearm and allegedly shot and killed this 53-year-old disabled grandfather. Now, after shooting and killing this 53-year-old grandfather, this individual allegedly fled the scene, and then, because he had some sort of injury, went into a hospital with a firearm where he was apprehended and arrested and charged with the alleged murder of Sean Hayden. Now, the police see this as an isolated incident, but when I take a critical examination of the alleged behavior of the individual who took the life of Sean Hayden, it definitely fits the pattern and profile for beta males that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. And it's clear to me that this beta male really reminds me a lot of the kind of bullies I dealt with in high school, and an incident that I had with an individual who was upset about the way I was standing on a lunch line back in 1989. Now, like that individual who was upset about the way I was standing on a lunch line in 1989, this beta male was upset because Sean Hayden went and danced with a woman, and him dancing with this woman basically upset this beta male as related to his whole smooth world. Now, when it comes to these beta males, they like to live in a rose-colored reality, a world that looks like our world but is completely distorted, And in that world, they want everything to be smooth, where they have no conflicts, problems, or obstacles as related to the way that world runs. And when they see something that they don't like in that world, that's when these beta males get really upset. And they, as they are seething in anger, what they do is act on their impulses as they explode in rage. And that's what really happened at this party for this family member. This beta male got all in his feelings because a disabled grandfather was dancing with a woman, something that people do at parties. But because this guy didn't like the idea of this guy dancing with this woman, he decided to take out his firearm and do harm to a distant family member. And that really shows how twisted this beta male was, because he didn't even have regard for the fact that this was an elder as related to his family, didn't have regard for the fact that this man was disabled and really couldn't move really that well, and didn't even have regard for the fact that this man was a father and a grandfather. No, all he was thinking about was sating his feelings as related to the smooth world he wanted to have, and all he wanted to do was be able to sate those feelings without ever thinking critically about the consequences of his actions. And that's something that beta males do to the dysfunctional way that these males have been raised. Because of the dysfunctional way these males have been raised, these males really don't understand that in life there are some things that you just have to really just sit down and accept. And when it comes to somebody dancing with someone, that's not something you get upset to the point where you want to pull a firearm on someone and take their life. No, that's a situation where a man has to learn how to navigate through his emotions. And as he navigates through his emotions, yes, he may be upset about the way this man is dancing with a woman and may have his feelings about them, but he should not be wanting to act impulsively on those emotions, because there are consequences for actions. And really, when I look at this situation, it makes me shake my head. I mean, here is a disabled man who is basically just struggling to move, and all he wanted to do was share a dance with a woman. And this beta male basically went out here and got upset about a disabled man, not understanding that maybe that man was moving that way because he was an older man and he was dealing with these disabilities, and he wanted to have a little bit of joy with this woman at this party. And maybe this guy, this is the only moment he was going to have that was going to be good for his entire year. So this guy was dealing with issues as related to his health, but that didn't matter to this beta male because it was all about him and his feelings, making me wonder if this person possibly had some sort of disability. But I don't really believe he was disabled. I just believe this was a bitch-made individual. And when it comes to bitch-made individuals, these guys basically, whenever they feel like life isn't going the way that they want to go out here and do harm to someone. And doing harm to an older member of your family, that really shows how just depraved this individual was as related to life and having no regard for this man's life. And that's the thing that makes this whole situation really twisted for me as related to how dysfunctional this individual was. And again, to kill someone over a dance at a party, I mean, this is the type of stuff that I used to read about and had to see firsthand when I was growing up during the crack epidemic with all of those drug dealers. They used to participate in this type of dysfunctional behavior, never thinking critically about the bigger picture of the situation, like I thought about it way back in 1990 when I heard about a homicide in a nightclub where a guy killed a guy over a woman here in New York City. And when I thought about that whole situation, I thought about the great tragedy of that situation. One man is dead, another one is on his way to prison, over a woman, and that same woman that this guy went out here looking to play the white knight for. And I really don't think he's playing the white knight. He really was just upset that this man was dancing with that woman. That same woman who was somebody else's woman is gonna be going somewhere to get her back blown out by another man. Meanwhile, this guy who did all of this shooting because he was in his feelings and was just not thinking critically, he's on his way to getting arrested, going to the Detroit County Jail, and then will be processed through the criminal justice system and will be in Michigan's penal system, dealing with the authority of the COs. And if they see him participating in behavior that they don't like, they have the right to punish him by putting him in solitary, or if he's put in the general population and he goes out here and violates the unwritten social rules of the cell block of Bubba, Tiny, Roscoe, Big Dave, Melvin, and Mr. Sprinkles, this dude basically is going to wind up getting turned out, and he's going to wind up ruining the day as he's being traded for Little Debbie snack cakes, ramen noodles, packets of Crystal Light lemonade, packets of Crystal Light tea, off-brand fruit punch, off-brand berry drink, Fritos chips, off-brand Oreo cookies, off-brand lemon cookies, off-brand duplex cookies, off-brand vanilla wafers, off-brand ginger snaps, off-brand sugar wafers, Kit Kat candy bars, Hershey's Kisses, peppermint balls, and all of the things on the commissary. This dude will rue the day as Bubba, Tiny, Roscoe, Big Dave, Melvin, and Mr. Sprinkles wind up stuffing the front side and the back side as they spit roast him. And then after they finish spit roasting him, Mr. Sprinkles comes in to spray the special sauce on the front side and the back side, and after splitting those cheeks open, he goes to show everyone his handiwork as the backside is looking like the inside of a glazed donut. And that's where this guy will realize that he basically threw away one of the greatest things that he had in his life, the intangible of his freedom. I mean, this is what this guy basically threw away over a woman who wasn't even his woman. I mean, that's what this dude basically did. He wound up taking the life of a grandfather and keeping him from his grandchildren, took away the life of a father, keeping him away from his children, and depriving them of the person that they loved, all because he didn't like the way they danced. Well, when Bubba, Tiny, Roscoe, Big Dave, Melvin, and Mr. Sprinkles have him dancing in that cell block and have him washing the skid marks out of Mr. Sprinkles' drawers with a toothbrush, that's where this guy will basically realize that he basically threw his entire life away over something so trivial, because this wasn't his woman, and he threw away his freedom because he was upset because a disabled man was dancing with a woman. And that's not something you throw away the most important intangibles of your manhood for, which are your freedom, and I would have to say your dignity and your self-respect, because if it's not your business, you don't get into it. And when it comes to a grown man, you don't get in a grown man's business. That's something beta males don't understand, because beta males, what they want to do is want to go out here and be the hero, when in actuality, they are the villain. And they are the villain because, again, what this man was doing with that woman was between that man and that woman. And if they just had a dance, then you need to just leave it alone. If that's not your woman, then it's not a problem. And this is something beta males don't understand, because what happens with beta males when they see a woman with another man? What they want to do is get in the face of that man. And instead of checking the woman, what they do is go over to the man, because they're scared of checking the woman. And they're scared of checking the woman because they're afraid of being denied access to the skid mark jockey thong and a taste of the atomic waste. And that just shows how cowardly these guys are. And again, they're cowardly because, again, here you have a man step into a grown man who's over 50, a father and a grandfather, getting upset over the fact that he just had a dance at a family party. And again, if this was not his woman, then it should not have been his problem. If that man who was involved with that woman wasn't having an issue with it, then it was none of this dude's business. But what this dude wanted to do is he wanted to flex, hoping to impress possibly that woman. This is the type of thing that beta males do because they want to create covert contracts with women where they think, oh, if I show out, I'll impress her. But he didn't impress anyone. No, he basically embarrassed his distant part of the family because he showed that he had not been raised with any sort of manners, any sort of discipline, any sort of understanding of how social situations work as related to men. Because when it comes to men, if the man who is married to that woman or the man who is dating to that woman isn't checking that situation, then no other man should be stepping into that man's business. But you can't explain that to the beta male who wants to make their world smooth by trying to play the hero. And that's sadly what happened here tragically at this family event that took the life of this 53-year-old father and grandfather. And what's really sad about this whole situation is that this situation, again, didn't need to happen, but it happened sadly because you have a beta male who doesn't know how to make the world work as related to men, doesn't understand the code as related to men, because I'll repeat it once more, when it comes to the code of men, if a man is dancing with a woman and that's not your woman, it's not your business. And only the man who this woman is married to would be having to have a say about this. And again, he has the say with that woman, not with the man, because the man may offer his hand to ask for a dance, but if the woman her job is to decline, and again, that's between that man and that woman, and it's not anybody's business but theirs. And that's the code as related to the man code, as related to situations that ain't got no business with you. That's what many men will teach you about the man code. Unfortunately, this dude never got taught the written and unwritten social rules of the man code, and that's why we had a situation where this simp basically went out here looking to go out here and get some sort of brownie points by taking out this firearm. I mean, why are you bringing a firearm to a family event? That's a critical question I gotta ask. And even if this was a situation where the woman was pulling a crap test, again, if you're not married to that woman, again, if she goes out here and dances with another man, your whole thing is to navigate through your emotions and deal with that woman and charge her to the game if that's your woman. But is related to the story that was presented on the news, this was not this dude's woman, so this was not something he needed to bring himself to get involved with. But this is what happens, again, when you're dealing with beta male white knights. They want to get into business that isn't theirs, and sadly, because they got into business that isn't theirs, a family is mourning the passing of a cousin, mourning the passing of a father and a grandfather, and sadly, we have a tragic event that shows us what happens when you have beta males running amok. What they do is turn a celebration into a tragedy. And what's really sad is this just shows the increase in frequency of this kind of behavior. But this kind of behavior happens because these males don't know how to function as men in society. And that's what's leading to this man crisis continuously getting worse. day after day and year after year here in America. Now, if you want to learn why males like this become dysfunctional to the point where they escalate situations into violence and how to break out of that paradigm, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis at other online booksellers like Draft Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and you can also find it at big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you want to learn how to avoid predatory individuals like this kind of simp, you can pick up my book, Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, to break out of the simp paradigm that this guy was in. And if you want to learn how destructive the behavior of guys like this is, you can pick up my book, my ebook, Manginas. They look like men, but they act like ladies. All of these books are available in digital format on Amazon.com and other online booksellers. And Stop Simping is available in paperback, Kindle format, and it's also available on audiobook. And all of those books will transform your lives and help you to understand not to participate in dysfunctional behavior like the alleged shooter in this incident. Now, if you also want to see me be able to make more videos about the Man Crisis, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, ISIS Legacy. The sorority secrets of the goddess next door are revealed in this all-new ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS Legacy in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, The Temptation of John Haynes. Give in to temptation and pick up this action-packed African-American paranormal romance. Get The Temptation of John Haynes in paperback and e-readers today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.